What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer. It's a pleasure to be with you on Wednesday, May 28th. My birthday is in 1 day and 1 week, so I'm very excited about that. I'll be 33 years old. I was hanging out with somebody just the other night, and they were just, looking at my head, and they're like, wow, you're getting a lot of gray hairs. And I'm like, wow, that was really nice of you to say. Why don't you get out of my house right now? I'm kidding, of course. They were right, but it still hurt a little bit. But hey, regardless of my age, I'm having a great time. This is episode 112 of SLC Puck, your twice a week home for chat, for goofs, for laughs, for all the fun that you love with talking Utah's hockey scene here. I've got my mug here. I'm channeling David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, a little bit of John Oliver, all the fun talk show hosts doing this from the comfort of my mother's basement. You might be thinking, hey, Austin, that's great. I'm glad you have such swanky digs. How do we support your show? Well, let me tell you, kind friend, what you can do. And by the way, I'm rolling out a new innovation here to SLC Puck called Puckovision. As you can see here, I promise technological advancements, and I'm delivering them, folks. But what you can do to support the show, you go to slcpuck.shop. I've got some brand new merch, Big Tusk Energy, trademarked by SLC Puck LLC. That's true. All this awesome merch here, bucket hats, t-shirts, a couple of hat options, even a crop top for the ladies out there. I know it's starting to get a little bit warmer now. We're almost to June, right? But go ahead and check that out. Everything's under $25 with the Big Tusk Energy branding on it, and that goes to supporting the show directly. You can leave a donation if you'd like, and that's always appreciated. And I'll send you a video, thank you, just as my way of saying thank you. So anyway, hey, we're talking to you guys on Wednesday, May 28th. Like I said, my question to you guys out there, you ready to learn a little Russian? Are you Russian to learn a little Russian? You should be. Big signing today in the Utah Mammoth hemisphere, atmosphere, at environment, the ecosystem, I guess, in the hockey scene. We've all got a little bit of a Russian fever today, and it was kind of an interesting week for news relating to Russia in hockey. I think it was reported this week that the nation of Russia will not be participating in the 2026 Olympics in Milan, Italy, just due to the conflict with Ukraine. So they've been barred from competition. Kind of a little bit of a sad note there for hockey fans, right? There's so many great Russian hockey players, including now the new all-time goal leader, Alexander Ovechkin, probably won't be playing in maybe his last opportunity to play in the Olympics. Who knows, though? He's crazy enough. He might still be trying to lace him up in 2030. And he's crazy enough, he might be lacing him up in 2034 when the games are here in Salt Lake City. So no way to know, right? But still a little bit of a, it's kind of a bummer, right? For those of us who follow Russian hockey. And guess what? Now we do, because we've got a couple of fellas from the KHL, a couple of big Russian Redwoods headed our way. Announced today that the Utah Mammoth have signed entry-level deals with two of their top prospects. And just to help me guide my thoughts a little bit, I'm going to pull up Ryan Miller's story on KSL.com. Headline reads, Utah Mammoth signed top prospects Simashev and Boot to entry-level contracts. Yes, it looks like you would say that name, but, and funny enough, I did an entire episode about Danil Butt last year when I was scraping for content. I did an entire episode where I mispronounced his name, called him Danil Butt, and luckily I wasn't eviscerated too much for that by you kind viewers out there. There was a very kind correction in the comments, but now I've got it. It's pronounced Boot, and no ifs, ands, or boots about it. I stole that from Mike Folta, who tweeted that out today. This is a big deal for the Utah Mammoth. So these guys, like I said, are a couple of frickin' Redwoods, right? Like just to get you through what I'm talking about here, I'm going to read Ryan Miller's story. Some prize prospects are heading to Utah. The Utah Mammoth announced Wednesday they've signed defenseman Dmitry Simashev and forward Danil Boot to 3-year entry-level contracts. Both players were high first-round picks in the 2023 NHL Draft. That was the last draft in which the organization was operating as the Arizona Coyotes. Simashev went 6th overall, and Boot was selected 12th. The duo has been playing in the Kontinental Hockey League, even helping Lokomotiv, and I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce this, Yaroslavl, win the Gagarin Cup earlier this month. I'll note this, Mikhail Sergachev was in attendance for the championship game. He's clearly a fan of these guys. It seems like they hang out quite a bit, judging by Mikhail Sergachev's Instagram. He's been taking a lot of pics with Dmitry Simashev, maybe a future defensive pairing, who knows. Simashev and Boot have played together on Lokomotiv since 2022, and they share more than just team chemistry. They both bring imposing side. Simashev stands at 6'5", while Boot measures 6'6". They now join a promising young core of former first-rounders in Utah, which includes Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, and Maverick Lamoureux. So, very exciting day for those of us who are following the Utah Mammoth's ascent to Stanley Cup glory. It's such a big deal, such a big moment that and it probably doesn't hurt that there's maybe a shortage of news right now surrounding the Utah Mammoth. There was media availability with general manager Bill Armstrong, GMBA, which he answered some questions from the local media. That's posted on X, I believe. If you follow Utah Mammoth PR, you can access that media availability with GMBA. But these are dudes that, according to the general manager, have a very legitimate chance of cracking the roster next year. Now, not everybody who signs an entry-level contract with the team that drafts them ends up playing for the NHL club right away. They might bake a little bit in the American League. They might go back to their junior team in the Canadian Hockey League. Tej Ginla is a good example, right? He's still up with the Kelowna Rockets, technically. That's where he finished the season, even though he signed his entry-level deal. There's all kinds of examples about this, but if you listen to general manager Bill Armstrong, he seems pretty confident that these guys are going to have a very good chance of making the NHL team out of training camp. So it's very exciting. I mean, when I think about two guys who are that big, and if you listen to GMBA talk about them, like what stands out about both of them, they're excellent skaters at that size, which is very rare and very difficult to do, right? Just as a rule of thumb, the taller you are, like the worse your chances are of being a good hockey player. You're just not really built for the nuances of skating, right? But you listen to GMBA talk, and here was a funny thing. He talked a little bit about Danil Boot, the forward, and he likened him to someone we've talked a little bit about on the show. I'm talking, of course, about Mr. Tage Thompson, someone who I've theorized the Utah Hockey Club may be pursuing this offseason, someone that I've expressed fanhood for, someone who I think could answer a lot of the problems that plague the Utah Hockey Club this season. So that was really interesting to hear that comparison made. I wonder, if that's where the comparisons stop right there, right? The size and all that. But I just visualize these two, Boot and Simashev, as like two Ivan Drago types, like on the ice. We all saw Rocky IV, right? By the way, who was your favorite Rocky villain? Apollo Creed is great. He kind of had a turn where he went from villain to friend to ultimately being killed by Ivan Drago. Rocky III, that was Clubber Lang. Rocky V, that kind of sucked. That was Tommy the Machine Gun. Rocky Balboa was Mason the Line Dixon. Is that all the Rocky enemy? And then you get into the Creed movies, right? And then it's Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, and who does he fight? So anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about hockey, right? This I got to save all this for my Rocky podcast, which, by the way, I would love to do a Rocky podcast. Is there such a thing as a Rocky podcast? Anyway, when I saw the comparison, like the size that's spoken of these guys, both over 6'5", I'm like, these dudes are big, redwoods, just like I said. And I mean, the footage on these guys is pretty remarkable. My good friend, Jazz Jargon used to be his name. I'm not sure what his name now on Twitter is. His name is Spencer. But he posted a video of Simashev, I believe, or it might've been Boot, just skating the length of the ice, crashing into the boards so hard he knocked the glass off of its moorings. Like, it makes perfect sense that these guys played for the Lokomotiv, because they're a couple of freight trains and they're going to cause chaos at the next level. Like, I'm picturing Ivan Drago mixed with the Hanson brothers, mixed with all the fun that we've come to love with Mikhail Sergachev and his antics and his egg-loving behavior. So I think this is a really exciting day for the Utah Hockey Club. And again, it seems very interesting. When you think about these two guys possibly making their way onto the roster, like the question that comes to my mind is like, who do they replace? I think that's going to be something to watch, right? The blue line, has got a lot better for the Utah Mammoth. Before, as the Arizona Coyotes, not nearly as stable. But, when you think about Sergachev, Marino, Dursey, Oli Mata, Michael Kesselring, Ian Cole, and then Maverick Lamoureux as well. So there's going to be a lot of competition there. And competition breeds improvement. I think you'll see the best 6 defensemen suit up for the Utah Mammoth. Danil Boot is going to have a chance to make the roster as well. Who does he push out, or who does he push to be better? I think that's a very interesting question, right? And a couple questions remain as the Utah Mammoth approach free agency a little bit more, right? And it's a really exciting thing, and it was so cool to hear Bill Armstrong's media availability talk about how excited he is for these two guys. It definitely rubbed them the right way that they were on championship rosters. All kinds of championships being won by guys who suit up during the NHL season for the Utah Mammoth, right? The 4 boys who played for Team USA just wrapped up a gold medal victory in the World Championships. These 2 big fellas in Russia won the KHL championship. I believe they also had prospects win the WHL championship, and I think one more in the Quebec League. So again, championship blood is coursing through the culture of the Utah Mammoth. And for me, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm getting very, very excited about what could be. And again, it kind of creates like a lot of interesting questions in my mind. And I'm really excited to see how the rest of the offseason plays out. And we'll be covering that for you every step of the way on SLC Puck. Just looking at Puckpedia, where we've got the full payroll laid out here. So, obviously this year, Nick Bjugstad is going to enter free agency as an unrestricted free agent. I think that this was probably not great news for him if he was hoping to come back to Utah next season. Michael Carcone is also going to be an unrestricted free agent, but he knows he's not coming back. He made that very clear in his end-of-season media availability. Jack McBain, restricted free agent. He will more than likely be brought back, though. Again, Ryan Smith basically confirmed this at the Mammoth name unveiling. But other ones, Robert Bortuzzo, unrestricted free agent. I believe he's probably going to retire, is my assumption. He's 36 years old right now. Nick DeSimone, also going to be an unrestricted free agent. This was probably not great news for him if he was hoping to be brought back by the Mammoth next season. So you got to think guys like Bjugstad and DeSimone probably didn't welcome this news and probably didn't love hearing Bill Armstrong talk so confidently about these 2 Russian fellas and their ability to make the roster. But that's the NHL, right? It's a business. It's the responsibility of the decision makers like GMBA to put the best possible team on the ice. That's what I want. I think that's what all Utah Mammoth fans want. And so again, it's very exciting to think about this. And they bring these guys over and they still have all this cap space that they're going to be working with, right? We can see the projected cap space is now at over $21 million. And we've talked so much about, the possibility, will they sign Mitch Marner? That's going to be in the territory of $12, $13 million. They have the 4th overall pick in this year's NHL Draft. What are they going to do with that? Are they going to pick a prospect? Are they going to trade the pick for someone perhaps like Tage Thompson in some kind of package. They have other prospects that, are probably pretty close to making the NHL. Tej Ginla is a great example. He missed most of last season with a hip injury. I think the word is on that, though, that it was sort of like a maintenance-related surgery he had, just kind of cleaned up some of the bone spurs in his hip, so he'll be able to move his hip a lot better and probably be a lot faster and stronger on the ice. So you got to think he's pretty close. It's exciting. I mean, and there's still so much work to be done, so many chapters left to be written in this offseason about what the Utah Mammoth could do. What's up, guys? Let me just interrupt really quick. It's almost June, and we all know what that means. Wedding season is nearly upon us, and here's how it's going to play out. You're going to go to a bunch of weddings with your partner, and then they're going to start getting on your case about, hey, how come you haven't committed to me? What's going on? I want a ring. I want a pretty wedding too. And you're going to go, great. I want to do all that for you. I do. I love you. I just don't know where to get a ring. Well, I'm here to help with that. The place you want to go, you can go to Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. Either one of those spots, you can get an incredible engagement ring for that special person in your life. And hey, I'll make it easy on you. Just go into either one of those locations, Jonathan's Jewelry in Cottonwood Heights and Payne Anthony Creative Jeweler at Charlie Square. Just mention SLC Puck. They'll knock $100 off your purchase. Bada bing, bada boom, nothing to it, right? But hey, in case you want to save even more money, we've been doing this great raffle with Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry for quite a while now. All you got to do is scan this QR code, hit send on the message, and you'll be entered to win in this drawing. We've been giving out $250 gift cards for every episode of SLC Puck for quite a few months. Just like I said, get in the raffle now. If you haven't won yet, it just means your time is coming, baby. Stay in the raffle. Get in. Grab someone else's phone. Scan that QR code right now. You won't want to miss out on this great deal. We want to thank our good friends at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry for their support of SLC Puck. And let's get back to the show. I think I love talking to people about this and sort of getting like a new, fresh take on what could happen. I had a great day today. It's Wednesday. It's beautiful. The weather was gorgeous. Went on a walk with my family just a moment ago. And we enjoyed ourselves and went down to Target and got some home goods, which everybody loves. Everybody loves going to Target, right? Everybody loves going to Target. So we had a great time. But, the other great part of my day, besides a walk to Target, was getting on the ice with some of the fellas at Steiner for drop-ins, as I do on Wednesdays. Cole Bagley from KSLSports.com was there. And I always enjoy talking to Bags about stuff. And I brought up my theory and my hope, I guess, that the Utah Mammoth would trade this 4th overall pick. And he's like, listen, Austin, I love you, man. You're a great hockey player. And I might be paraphrasing here. But he's like, I don't think they're going to trade the pick, because if you think about it, they might not get this opportunity to have a draft pick in this position maybe ever again. Maybe not for the next 10 years if this team really is accelerating and improving the way that I think they are. And I was like, damn, Cole, that's great. That's a great point. I hadn't thought about it that way. And the more I think about it, the more I see the logic and reasoning in that. They're already in a great place. Do they need to really put their foot completely on the gas and take a big swing? I don't know. They might want to. They might get that directive from their ownership. But Cole, like I said, made a really good point. They're going to have an opportunity to pick a guy within the top 5. And this is a chance that they, again, might not get for quite some time. Porter Martone, picking a guy like him might not be possible for, again, another decade. This could be their opportunity to take a big swing in this direction. And so, again, I appreciated Cole's insight on that, and I'm gonna think on that a little bit more. I think that might affect the way we cover the Utah Mammoth as they approach the NHL Draft. I mean, I was completely wrong last year. I mean, I did research on GMBA, his draft history, the team needs. I tried to get a little bit of a feel for what I thought they were going to do. And if you remember, my guess was that they were going to draft either Zane Parekh or Z Buyem, 2 defensemen whose names start with Z. and I was going to celebrate either one of those picks by shaving a Z into my chest hair. Now, I'm not against shaving anything into my chest hair. Maybe I'll come up with another fun little quirk like that. But again, I was completely wrong. I remember being at the draft party and going, ooh, when they drafted T. Ginla. I saw my good friend Jerry there wearing a Jerome McGinley jersey, did a little interview there. So it went a completely different direction than what I thought. And so I'm learning to be a bit more open-minded with my theories. If you want to get like any insight on how GMBA approaches these NHL drafts, I would recommend going back. I know these are available on Utah Mammoth Plus, SEG Plus. I believe they're also on YouTube at this point, but you can go back and watch those Fresh Ice, like mini documentaries they were making throughout the season. The one that led up to the NHL draft was particularly insightful. Bill Armstrong is talking to the war room of his scouts and other sort of decision makers involved in the draft. He's like, listen, guys, we're drafting the best beeping player possible. And you could watch the dialogue, the discussion there evolve from there. It seemed like the consensus was that they thought T. Ginla was going to be the best available player. And that was something that I didn't know at the time when I made my big chest hair promise, right? I didn't know that was the appraisal they had made. So again, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I still think a trade would be very interesting and probably something to at least be considered. And they are doing that. Bill Armstrong did say that, they were going to plant the seed on a possible trade and that they knew there were going to be some teams interested. It seems like Buffalo is kind of imploding right now. They've had numerous players reportedly ask for trades. So who knows, if Tage Thompson's going to join that conversation. I'm sure, it probably feels like the sinking of the Titanic in some ways where everybody's like, desperate to get a lifeboat and get out of Buffalo. And by the way, Buffalo, we went to Buffalo once. It was kind of interesting. I like Buffalo wings. I think those are great. You get Buffalo Wild Wings is fantastic. I do like buffalo sauce. I put that when I make mac and cheese at home. I do enjoy some buffalo sauce. Like a buffalo wing dipped properly into some blue cheese dressing with some carrots, some nice crisp carrots. That's pretty good. That if I was doing Buffalo Puck, doing a podcast about the Buffalo Sabres and or working for the Sabres, that would be my pitch. I would bring in guys to free agency. I'd say, hey, listen, Mitch Marner, take a seat. Have you ever had buffalo wings? And he'd probably say, what? And then, the conversation would progress from there. But anyway, like I was saying, it's gonna be interesting what's gonna be available, what they could get for the pick. They're gonna make the best choice possible for the team. Is it a pick? Is it a prospect? Who knows? But I think we really need to expand our minds here. And I'm talking to myself mostly right here. There are all kinds of possibilities, things that could play out this offseason that we may or may not see coming. I think another one that could be interesting would be to sign a guy like Sam Bennett, who has been playing fantastically for the Florida Panthers, who punched their ticket to their third consecutive Stanley Cup Finals tonight with a 5-3 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes. As I said, last show, this Florida team is absolutely terrifying. Their forecheck is crazy. They are not afraid to be mean. They're ruthless. They will do anything and everything it takes to win their second consecutive Stanley Cup. They're a bunch of psychos, and I kind of like it. And Sam Bennett is kind of a big part of the attack there. They call him Playoff Sam. It would be very beneficial for teams to pursue a guy like this. He had a goal and assist, 2 points, 5 shots today. Blocked a shot as well, took a penalty, had 4 hits. He had a huge impact on the game. Played 17 minutes and 38 seconds, took 27 shifts, played in all 3 situations. He played power play, a little bit of shorthanded, even strength as well. Went 5 for 9 on faceoffs. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be very highly sought after as well. But I think he's going to command much less money in free agency than a guy like Mitch Marner. I think that's not crazy to say, probably more of the $8 or $9 million territory, whereas Marner is going to be in the 12 to 13 territory. As I said, he could be a really interesting option for a Utah Hockey Club that needs to get tough and find ways to score big goals. Sam Bennett, kind of a 20 goal per game, 20 goal per game. That would be pretty crazy. 20 goal per season guy. So not that 40 goal scorer, that would be a Tage Thompson, but still an incredibly option, especially come playoff time. If this is a team that feels like they can make the jump into the postseason next year, which I tend to believe they can. I think also looking at some offer sheet opportunities would be really interesting. The Lockdown Mammoth podcast had a great explainer on what those are in restricted free agency. And I've heard some people, who are very into the organization talk about how exciting it would be to put a guy like Matthew Nyes of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are going to be strapped for cash if they want to bring Marner back or perhaps not, or, shore up, the next evolution in their trajectory. You offer a restricted free agent a contract, which their current team could match or not. It's kind of the Lockdown Mammoth podcast had a great way of explaining it. It's kind of considered like a dirty move in the NHL for some reason. And I'll be honest, I don't really get that, because those of us here in Utah who have followed the NBA closely for years know that restricted free agency is kind of a free for all. And the Jazz have lost guys in restricted free agency. They've also, I guess, stolen guys from their teams in restricted free agency. It seems like the NHL is not in the same place as the NBA when it comes to using that as a tool to build a team. Again, a lot of people view it as dirty or mean spirited, but I think the Utah Hockey Club, and I keep saying this, Utah Mammoth, general manager Bill Armstrong, Ryan Smith, I think they're really going to embrace the role of a ruthless front office team. The same way the Florida Panthers have embraced the role of a ruthless on-ice team. If the Mammoth can approach free agency, trades, offer sheets, all that jazz, right, with the same kind of viciousness and selfishness and, hey, we're here to win, F you kind of attitude, I think it'll pay off dividends for them. They could blaze trails in the NHL, and I think they very well could and should. And I think ultimately those are the kinds of moves that are going to put a Stanley Cup parade down State Street in Salt Lake City. So, like I said, Panthers punched their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals. On the other side of the bracket, 3-1 series lead for the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to play Game 5 tomorrow at 6. So Dallas is on the ropes. They are favored in that game. I think that one's going to be fascinating to watch play out. When we get to the finals, guys, I think we might do a watch party at a bar named Sue, but I'll keep you posted on that. So just stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff at SLC Puck for more information and just more fun. I've got all kinds of goofy, silly videos on there. Just got my little nephew, who's been a frequent star on the show and on social media, his very first pair of skates. So I'll be uploading that video there in just a little bit. But again, we appreciate you guys' support. We'll just check the bracket challenge really quick. I don't think this is populated with the new results of tonight's game. Actually, I think it just did. Yeah, this looks a little bit different. So you can see Warren Sprocket now has a commanding lead with 198 points. Because they picked the Oilers to win the Cup, they have the max possible points at 348. So it looks like Warren Sprocket, is in pretty good shape to take home the very, very sought-after SLC Puck prize package. T-Fit, 17, has moved into second, but they've maxed out their points already at 178. I think K. Calliers, they picked the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup. So it looks like it's kind of a two-horse race. Oh, there's Julian, 99.6, the Howl, is in the running. He picked the Avalanche just like me, though, so he has no chance. So it looks like it's kind of a two-horse race right now between Warren Sprocket and K. Calliers. Whoever comes out of this series, Edmonton or Dallas, will probably determine the winner of the SLC Puck Bracket Challenge. So as if these guys didn't have enough pressure already in the Western Conference Finals, just imagine going to the Edmonton locker room or the Dallas locker room and saying, hey, listen, guys, not only are you playing for the right to play in the Stanley Cup final, you're also going to determine the result of the SLC Puck bracket challenge. They would need to get the paper bags out and like they would start hyperventilating, I would like to think, just with the enormous pressure that they would be feeling. So we wish them the best of luck in their series. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see who cracks under the pressure. We'll wrap it up for today, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out Big Tusk Energy for merch. slcpuck.shop is the same website as well. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a foe, tell your grandma, tell your wife, tell your mistress, tell everybody you know about SLC Puck. And we'll talk to you soon.